In this episode, I'm going to look at a 5-disc Sherwood CD changer that was brought in for service. Complaint: doesn't do anything, doesn't load, doesn't open. This one might be a simple one, or it may be unrepairable. Let's find out. I've got a Sherwood Newcastle multi-CD player. This one's called a cdc480, and it doesn't work. Doesn't open. Just says error on the screen. As you can see, that's all it shows is error. Plus the display is quite dim. Okay, top off the unit. Let's observe what happens when we turn on the power. I don't think it's doing anything. All it's doing is the laser is slightly moving backwards and forwards, like it's returning to the home position. That's all it does. Turn off the power, turn it on, and the laser itself is going to the home position. So we know that their power is getting to there, but the tray is not moving. There's no attempt for the tray to move. So I'm curious as to whether maybe one of the belts is broken and got all wound up around the pulley and is jamming it. We get into the bottom of this unit, and I find that the motor that controls the mechanism itself is not accessible from here, so I've got to actually remove the actual bracket here and take the actual carriage assembly out to get at the, I think it's probably a belt underneath here that's slipping or jammed or has become so stretched that it's wound itself around the motor or around the pulley. That's what I think's happened on this, and that's why I think it's jamming. But these are a little bit of work to tear down to get at just from the design. Like, you got little circuit boards here for the headphone output and stuff that's in the way that actually has to be removed to get at the screws that are underneath here, because there's 2 screws under here as well. So a little bit of work to get at this thing. It requires complete disassembly to get the brackets off, but once the brackets are removed, this should lift out and reveal there are a couple of belts in here, and they don't appear to be broken either. I expected that these were going to be broken or stretched or something, and they're not. But the motors do not even appear to attempt to try to operate. So it could be something as minor as these switches here are dirty. These contact switches, which signal the microprocessor as to the position of the mechanism. And sometimes these switches will get dirty and they won't communicate with the CPU, and it'll cause some problems. There is a third motor up here with a little belt, which I haven't checked yet. See if that one's sticking. That's the one that rotates the tray. The other 2 are for ejecting and loading the cassette, or the actual tray. The disc sits on the disc tray, and this one here. So this motor here raises and lowers the laser, and this other one here is what opens and closes the disc drawer, and then this motor over here is the one that actually turns the carousel. Oh, this is really stiff. Yeah, this whole mechanism is stiff. Could be the lubricant on this gear is dried out. This is probably the fault with this one, is this, because look, if I turn the motor here, it's not turning the gear. The belt is slipping. But the belt seems to have tension, so I have a feeling this mechanism is gummed up. Either this gear here is gummed up or the worm gear is gummed up. So let's just remove the cut washer. So I can remove the gear, and we'll see whether. So we'll just remove this assembly. As you can see, it's not turning. This is frozen up completely seized up. this gear here. Now it's free. It almost looks like this is bent. You know, this almost looks like this side is bent out. And that would certainly explain why it wasn't working. It's almost like this, if you look at the metal pieces here, it's almost like this is bent. Well, that's nice and easy to turn now. I think this gear's got a tooth that's broken off of it. And it does. Right there. There's a flattened tooth and it's going to jam every time it makes a rotation. So unfortunately, this unit is not going to be repairable with this gear. You can see here that it's not just the white gear that's broken that's got a tooth missing, but the worm gear here also has damaged teeth right there. You can see a flat spot which binds every time it makes a rotation. So this gear has to be replaced as well. So unfortunately at this stage of the game I'm going to say that this CD player is done. It's unfortunate, it's not worth repairing. It's not a real high-end unit. Sherwood wasn't considered to be a real high-end to begin with. But I mean, this is similar to a Sony, and I thought I had one of these, but the Sony I had that I salvaged the optical pickup from, it had the same problem. It had this gear was broken on it in the same type of place, because this is essentially a Sony mechanism. It had some teeth that were damaged on the gear here, and also the main worm gear also was damaged. So that one is out, and that's probably how this got bent, is when this gear got damaged. The motor kept trying to crank and it was jamming and it pushed the metal out and bent it. So this one here is one that is not going to be repairable. It was one that was brought in from a client to look at, and I'll have to advise him that it's probably not worth fixing, because even if you could get the gear, which I doubt very seriously you'd be able to find one, but even if you could get one, by the time a gear was shipped out, And even if the gear was only a couple bucks, by the time it was shipped out, your cost would be prohibitive to repair it for what you could buy a used 5-disc changer in working condition, because you can get these things, you know, at the Value Village. They've got 5-disc changers all the time in there for like 20-30 bucks. So it's not worth spending the money on to fix this one. Anyway, thought you guys might like to see what one of these things looked like. And there it is, and there's the problem. Just some troubleshooting on this one, and now we know what the problem is. And for those that want to make wisecrack comments about, yeah, you can 3D print it. Yes, okay, I know you can 3D print anything if you have the CAD files and you have a 3D printer, which I have neither. So no, I can't 3D print it. Save your time. There it is, all back together, ready to go to recycling. Thanks for watching.